Everybody, welcome back to another edition of Narrative, The Road to 100. I am joined by another special guest. We're breaking into talking about, I think we're going to get into some blockchain stuff, definitely talking about what's happening in healthcare, which is awesome, and what's being built there. But I want to open up the space real quick first to welcome Sharonda Davis. Thank you for joining the platform, first and foremost. And also thank you for the work that you're doing. Extremely important. And I hope you'll share some of the newer accomplishments that I've seen that you post a little bit about on LinkedIn related to your work with NurseBloc. But first, give us a quick intro, who you are and what it is that you do.
Thank you, Cedric. Thank you for this space and this opportunity. Thank you for recognizing that I have something to add. Like you said, I'm Sharonda Davis. I'm a wife. I've been married now for the past 17 years. I have three sons, 14, 13, and 12. My oldest just joined the basketball team, so we're busy with him. I've also been a nurse for the past almost 20 years. And more recently, I became the founder of NurseBloc based on my love and excitement. A loved one with a chronic illness, everyone is facing this problem. And due to recent developments, this problem is only going to intensify. And that's what we're building for NurseBloc. My mother cared for my father until he died, and she made a lot of sacrifices to do that. And anyone that is caring for someone is making those sacrifices, and we want to be the answer for them. We want to use the innovative technology that is becoming more and more available every day to solve some of these everyday problems that we're all being faced with. So thank you so much for having me today.
And yeah, it's definitely a pleasure to have you here to go into some of those concepts and really talking about the nature of technology as we look into the nursing space, but also really like thinking about care for our loved ones. And I can share some personal stories, which we might get into at a certain point. But I want to keep this about you and ask you our driving question here related to the Narrative to 100 series that we've produced, which is, what does narrative mean to you?
To me, narrative is about leaving my mark on the world. I think Lauren London said it best. I don't want to miss my mark. I'm a huge Drake fan. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And I want to tell my story. I don't want it to just be with my words. I want it to be with my actions. I want it to be with the choices that I've made. Narrative to me is continuing the story that was already set up. The preface was already written by those that have gone before us. And I don't want to just read the story or watch the story and criticize the story. I want to be a part of the story in my way. I want to be myself. I want to represent my truth in everything that I do. And I just want to add my little mark to the story. I want to add my chapter to the novel and make it worth reading. That's what it means to me.
And we appreciate that for sure. And we know that you have a background in the healthcare space and in nursing. And I'm interested to learn more about your journey as it relates in getting into tech and now into AI, blockchain technology that you mentioned, Web3, metaverse space. So related to that, I guess, can you talk to us about your journey? How did you get started? And how you're seeing all those things come to convergence at this point to where you are right now? Talk to us about what was that process like? Walk us through it.
My, what a time to be alive. And you might hear a lot of Drake quotes. But my youngest son is an artist, a very phenomenal artist. I love him so much. And he introduced me to NFTs towards the middle of 2021. At that time, I was burned out by nursing. I'm a travel nurse. I had been to New York in the heat of COVID working, and I just was looking for a new way, something new. I decided at that moment that this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to contribute to the world. I want to leave a mark on the world, but this isn't cutting it. And I fell down the rabbit hole from NFTs. I purchased one, I purchased another. And I'm sure anybody that has even in any way interacted with the Web3 space, it's electric. Within days, I was up all night. I was in this Discord, that Discord. I joined Web3 Equity in Miami. Thank God for them. Michelle Abbs ran a wonderful group of women in Miami that were all interested in Web3 from various backgrounds. And from there, I started learning. They started asking me to speak and to teach. And I was like, whoa, I'm a nurse. Like I was showing up in my nursing uniform, like I'm a nurse, but by and by, I have grown to love the space. I never stop learning. Every day there's something new to learn. I've been up all night watching charts of Chill Guy. Like, so it's always something, and I love it. It electrifies me. It excites me. I still work per diem as a nurse here and there. So I'll never not be a nurse, but the passion that I have for learning new things and being a part of innovation and emerging technology, it overtook me. I didn't expect it. So it wasn't like I planned it. It wasn't some well thought out journey. It was passion, and it is still to this day passion that's driving me.
And I actually want to dig a little bit into that passion. You did mention and talk a little bit about your parent situation with your mom. I bet you took care of your father up until his passing. Condolences for sure. I
Thank you.
understand what losing a parent feels like. Happened to me at a very young age, but
I'm sorry to you as
we can't.
well.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Can't remove that. But thinking about where you are right now, I want to talk about NurseBloc because you mentioned passion. I'm like that. If there's anything that spells out passion, it's something like this, where you're bringing the things that you have done, love and enjoy, care for other people, the technology, putting it together somehow, and this thing is going to help a lot of people. So can you just tell us what was the motivation behind NurseBloc? How did you get started in terms of like where you are right now and positioning for that particular entity?
Wow, thank you for that question, Cedric. That made me reflect for a moment, and I need to. When I first got into NFTs, it was all about, can I flip this NFT? Can I join this community? And I was meeting people from all over the world. I was forming community with strangers and hearing that no matter where we were in the world, no matter what time zone we were on, we all had the same problems. We all had a dog running around barking in the background, spousal issues, trouble raising our children, different things. And it made me realize that this space was more than just currency and flipping money and getting rich. This is an opportunity for communities to change the world. And that's how I look at it. So as soon as I started thinking of it in that way, I was in my garage one night and it was like a download, like the moon was full and it was shining right through the light. And I was standing right there. And it was like, God was like, the problems that you and so many of your family members have been facing can be solved by the blockchain. And at that time, I didn't know a whole lot about AI. I just was really focused on understanding the technology behind blockchains. And the more and more I understood how it can create peer-to-peer relationships without all of the intermediaries that always make things so much more challenging than they have to be, the vision of NurseBloc was born. Now, I have to say that at that time, it wasn't called NurseBloc, and I didn't have the idea fully formed. I was at that time building a DAO for nurses. And I hope that this interview can also serve as a plea to other nurses and anyone in any profession like you, education, to use what you've perfected all these years and build on it in another way, in a different way. But I don't want to go there. What I just really want to say is that God told me to do this. I wouldn't be doing it if he had not. It came to me. I started writing. I was writing, and I couldn't stop. And I was like, you can do this, you can do this, you do that. And then reality hit, right? I started telling people about it. And they were like, girl, please, like nobody's ever going to do that. No way people are ever going to do that. Nobody cares about that. Nobody in blockchain cares about healthcare. There's no way people in healthcare are ever going to care about blockchain. And here we are. I was
Wow.
right.
Right.
Here we are. Here we are.
So tell us, I guess, like what is the premise of NurseBloc? Like what's the functionality? How does it work? What does it do?
The premise of NurseBloc is connecting you at your home with healthcare services on demand. Whether you need a tech to come and help you turn your mom for 30 minutes, because what I believe is that nothing is new under the sun. Everything just goes around and around. And back in the day, we took care of each other. We took care of our neighbors. So our goal is to build a network of verified nurses. This is where blockchain comes in. The nurses upload their credentials. The credentials are verified and stored on a unique ledger that everyone can see. So what it builds is almost like a phone book of verified nurses in your neighborhood. What the tech does is it allows you in your home to connect with that network of professionals. Right now, we're dealing with mainly nursing professionals and allied health professionals. So that includes PCTs, CNAs, nurses, RNPs. But our goal is to include physical therapists, occupational therapists, because as healthcare moves out of the hospital into the home and into remote places, we want to be the person that shows up. We know you have telehealth, but what if your doctor says you need an injection right now? We want to be that nurse that you can call on demand. I'm around the corner. I'm available at this time. You can see all of my credentials. You know I'm skilled. Here I come. I can help you. That's our big dream. And right now it is a dream, but every day we're getting more and more closer to making it come true. So I love it.
Wow. Yeah, that's impactful. And if I can even share just even personal related kind of alignments to that, like my father unfortunately suffered a stroke earlier this year, and one of those things, of course, is the in-home care aspect after coming out of the hospital, and well, who's going to show up, and thinking about just the weight of that on family members, and all those things kind of fall into place. And I'm thinking about just the idea that something like this could be in place to just offer that support whenever needed. And even thinking about, like, I mean, whenever the pandemic hit, one of the things I personally did initially was I increased my life insurance. But what that took was,
Okay.
having someone come out, like an actual nurse come out, and of course, like, do the check. Like, you couldn't go into a hospital and, get tests run or anything like that to check your health and make sure that, whatever insurance policy or premium would align to like where you were. So I'm like, I had somebody come out and I had to get those results sent over. I'm like, well, that could have been a NurseBloc situation. Like, so
Yes.
yeah,
Thank
it's
you. Thank
really
you.
valuable work that you're doing. I think that that's powerful. Yeah. And thinking about even just like the telehealth thing, but you still hands-on approach, somebody showing up, the injection, as you mentioned, like that type of thing is, you can't substitute that.
I just want to say, based on what you just said, that's my message behind AI and technology. I believe that these technologies will definitely improve healthcare. I believe they'll improve every industry, but I don't believe that there'll ever come a day that you won't want to have a warm touch. People are always going to want to feel a hug or just know that it's a real person there. And sometimes now we're dealing with all of these AI bots responding to different problems. Sometimes I just say, please, can you just get me to a person? And that's what we want to be. We recognize, respect, and appreciate all of the tech, but we want to be that person, that warm touch, that caring and healing hand that can show up on demand.
So I want to go back a little bit and talk about, defining moments. And you talked about your work as a nurse and how you got to a point of burnout, and then also the introduction of NFTs by your son.
Mm-hmm.
Were there, or were those defining moments where you were like, you know what, I'm going to move into this space and I'm going to have a great impact here? Were there any instances where that thought or the feeling hit you?
I think recently, where I was going to tell you is that at the time I was building a DAO and I'm working, and I took a contract here in Atlanta. And when I got here, I was looking for the Web3 community. I joined the Atlanta Blockchain Center community and became a member of the Immutable Founders cohort. So that was for diverse founders that are building in Web3. And I think they validated me. I'm going to just be honest. When I told them my idea, they were like, oh, maybe you can do this, maybe you can do that. I thought about it. I came up with the name NurseBloc. I went back to them. It's a phenomenal program. everyone that was in my cohort is doing amazing things. Marlon Williams is our founder. He's a super, super motivator, and he just encouraged us to build, to just keep building. That's his like always like build, build, build. And when I realized, Sharonda, you're building, that is, I think, was a defining moment for me. I ended up pitching on demo day. We came in third place, which I was so grateful for. I couldn't believe it because the competition was stiff. The guys that I was competing against are building amazing things in Web3, and I just that's when we won third place. I was like, you could do this. You're doing this. Yeah, you can do this. I think that for me, that was when I realized I can do it.
And I just want to make sure, just for educational purposes, because you mentioned DAO twice, right? DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. Can you just give us a quick definition of what that even means, just for people listening in who might be like, what is a DAO? Why does she keep saying that?
I love that question. Thank you. A DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. I believe this is the way organizations will run in the future. It's basically a group of people that come together with the same goal, but they're not just talking. They're willing to put their actions and even sometimes their finances behind it. I was in a DAO where we bought an NFT, and the NFT gave us access to the DAO, the decentralized autonomous organization. Ja Rule was a musician. The DAO was basically his creative team. So the DAO collectively makes decision based on how much you've invested in the group. So it can be a token, which sometimes you can purchase tokens to be a part of a DAO. And then based on how many tokens you own, your vote is worth X, Y, and Z. Or it can be a DAO where all the tokens have the same amount of value, and one vote, one person, so however many votes an initiative gets, it takes place or not. The reason why I think that it's a wave of the future is because essentially there's no middle person. It's a collective decision because it's run by smart contracts. If when this amount says yes, this amount says yes. And you can see who voted. You can see. So that's what I love about it, the transparency. There's no president, vice president. There's no leaders. Everyone's opinion matters, or based on how much they have invested in the group. So did I explain it? I hope so. Basically, it's a decentralized, meaning that there's no central authority. Autonomous, meaning that we're all responsible for ourselves. And anything dealing with crypto Web3, you're responsible for yourself. You have to do your own research, and you have to know before you click a button or click on a link. That's life in general, but specifically for Web3, DAOs allow organizations to run autonomously in a decentralized way.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing is essentially you have a collective group with vested interests, and within that, again, it's kind of, I got my Nipsey Hussle picture in the back.
Okay, all my life, all my life.
Cut out the middleman, right?
Yes.
This is our thing. We own it as a collective group, and what the group says is how we move on it. Which again makes sense, right? You don't have to be connected to any larger entity or bank or something like that. It's no, we together independently set this up and own and control it based on how much we put in. I just wanted to make sure for anybody listening that might not have. I don't want to assume that everybody knows what we're talking about. So,
and I appreciate that. And I appreciate you rewinding me to that point, because I also want to add that I think DAO structures and DAO tools, right now there are some DAO tools that you can use, can be phenomenal, especially for Black people planning a family reunion. And, this person always has so much to say, but they don't do X, Y, and Z. I really, if I do nothing else, I really want to encourage our people, Black people, I'm just going to say it, to look into these technologies. Don't wait until it's packaged in a box and you have to buy it or join in on it. Right now is a time where we can all be involved. There's simple DAO tools like Snapshot. They have that's the one that I use the most. You and your family can get on there and create a simple token and start making these decisions together. You and your sororities. Everyone can benefit from this technology if you just take the time and take a look at it.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you even just sharing, practical tools and resources, how we can even get involved. Because that's always the next question is, well, how do we do it? Thinking about more so considering what you're doing right now, right, with NurseBloc. Can you Can you share some insights as far as what you're seeing within the organization? Like, are there certain aspects of NurseBlock that you're really passionate about right now? Like certain things that you're implementing or that are launching in the current stages?
These are the best questions, Cedric. Thank you so much for this. Right now, we have just recently partnered with CityWave. Founder is Todd Alexander, and they will essentially act as our CTO and helped us build our vision. So here I am, right? A nurse, no tech skills, now actually being a part of the R&D and development of something that I know will change the world. The part of it that I'm most excited about is actually starting to go into homes and talk to families. Recently, I've been on Reddit just getting opinions like, what are you struggling with to care for your family members? And by the end of tonight, I'm going to make a post. I want to hear from caregivers. What is your challenge? What is your biggest challenge? Because we have this unique opportunity of being early. I have time to figure out, is this even the right thing? Is this even the solution that people need? And I want to talk. So that to me is a part I'm the most excited about. I was talking to a lady and she was saying, Sharonda, NurseBloc is great, but what I really need is somebody to just come and help me comb my hair. Like almost like when you have a newborn, you completely neglect yourself. And she was like, and that was the first time anyone had said that. So that's the part of the process that is really exciting to me right now, is going through this like R&D, talking to people really like, and then they're like, what you're doing is so necessary. Thank you. That is like, that is what's pushing me, right? Is that people are like, if this was here today, I could go on a date. Like I had one lady tell me that she had a boyfriend, but they kept breaking up because she had no time. And she was like, he can't understand my dedication to my mother, but I can't leave. So we want to come up with solutions, whether it be a tech monitor while you go to the store, or a nurse. Maybe it's not even a nurse. Maybe it's a robot. I'm not against whatever it is. I just want to be a part of the solution. So this part of it is so exciting to me. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Just again, the insights and congratulations on just the accomplishments,
Thank
right? Like
you. Thank
having those
you.
connections and watching this build and formulate. And
Slowly, right?
I mean,
Slowly.
this is beautiful though, because I mean, this interview I think is this is going this is going to be really important. At a certain point, I think somebody's going to revisit and be like, I know about NurseBlock and
Thank
I think it's
you.
IPO'd, right? Like that. So I'm like, you got to hear
Don't make me cry, Cedric.
it.
Wow.
Let's just put
Thank
it in the
you.
atmosphere. And
Thank
so
you.
I want to not bring it down, but I do want to make sure that we honor kind of both sides of the coin and the spectrum here, where it's definitely important to speak directly about the favorable aspects of what we're doing, positive aspects, things that are great, very uplifting. But I also want this to be an honest platform and to be real in terms of what we're doing and just the process behind things. So with regard to NurseBlock, can you talk to us about like what challenges have you come across and how did you overcome those as you're building?
Well, I think the general challenge that anybody building struggles with is funding. That's a unique challenge, raising a family. And all of a sudden, like I said, this wasn't a plan, right? The passion overtook me. And I work 12-hour shifts and I have three boys and I'm married. And so that has been challenging, navigating all of that. I think becoming a part of being surrounded by other women that are in my same situation, that are founders, that are married and raising children. That has been super, super, super helpful. I have one friend, Marie, who is like my sounding board. Every time I'm like, girl, this ain't worth it, I'm gonna just go back to work. She always reminds me of the bigger picture. She believes in NurseBlock, she believes in me. And I think having a community of people that believes in you is what really pushes you, right? Because you're looking like, dang, they really believe I can, then I cannot. So that has been super helpful. And I'll be honest, being a Black woman, a dark skinned Black woman from Miami, with my own vernacular and my own way of being and being real and not ever wanting to change. That has been a challenge, right? Because you show up in spaces that you have to almost be in and nobody in those spaces looks like you. Sometimes there's barely even any other woman, let alone another Black woman. And you still have to show up as your best self and, participate in conversation. And sometimes, even being slighted or overlooked. That has been difficult for me. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you said be honest, so I'm being honest. That has been very difficult for me. And what has helped me overcome that has been prayer, remembering that day in my garage that God came to me through the moon and told me to do this, and knowing that if that is the case and God told me to do this, he already knew that I was going to be Black and beautiful. He already knew where I was, like praying and just deep breath work and listening to gospel songs. I grew up in church and life kind of took me away from church, but I had to remember that all I know is Jesus and God. And you can edit that out if this ain't the platform, it's okay. But going back to who I was as a child, gospel music, praying, crying. I mean, like I lay out like I'm in the prayer room. And when I get up, it's nothing anybody could tell me, because this is not coming from me. This is coming from God. And if he be for you, you already know, Cedric, who could be against you? So that has really and it's only been recent. That's been very, very recent that I've been able to because I struggle with that, because even us, right? We do the light skin, dark skin. We got to be honest. And my dad was very big on don't ever get caught up in that. So that was never an issue to me. Like the whole colorism thing, I never cared about it. My dad was like, you're beautiful, you're smart. So that never bothered me. But I know in this space, the way that I'm perceived. So I had to overcome that. And I had to say, listen, baby, you're going to take this Blackness and you're going to love it. And that's it. And that's that. And so, yeah, I feel real good about that, because God has really helped me overcome that.
And you should feel good about it. I mean, and we do love it, right? Like,
Thank
and,
you.
you know
Thank
what I mean?
you.
So
Thank you.
just considering just where we are in space and time, and we talk about representation, we talk about supports and building and diversity and all these different aspects. And it's really intriguing for me to hear, hearing your story and where you are, and thinking about what I've seen, right? Perception, even just through watching what you post on LinkedIn, and I'm like, man, she's killing it. Like, this is amazing.
And
But
if anybody else would have posted it,
I mean, but just the whole
let's
thing.
be real. Let's be real.
But taking a step back though, and hearing you in this conversation, and then also looking at what you've shared, it's like, yes, this is amazing, and we should certainly celebrate and support this post. But that only tells part of the story, right? That doesn't tell the pathway, the trajectory, the struggle. That doesn't necessarily speak directly to, well, how did you get there? Which is the ultimate point of us opening up this platform. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I cry all the time.
No,
Please
you're good.
don't. I
I
cry
think
all the time. Don't even. It's
no, no,
okay.
no.
You said be honest. I normally try to hold it back, but since you said be honest, it's just who I am.
No, no, no. And that's the point. That's the idea here, is that who you are should be received, because what we're talking about in this context with the work that you've done as a nurse, going into NurseBloc, without you being who you are, those things don't exist. We don't have that. There without you having the background, the experience, the stories, your narrative, there is no NurseBloc. It doesn't exist, right? Maybe there's some other rendition that somebody else produced, but it's not NurseBloc.
It's
Like,
nurse
it's
block.
not NurseBloc. So there's value in that, and I'm really excited just to even be a part of this conversation, and to have this time to sit with you and to listen. And I want to do more listening, so I'm going to ask you a couple more questions.
Thank you, Cedric.
Of
I
course, of
really
course.
appreciate this. This is the most honest and relaxed that I've ever been in since I've ever done anything like this. So I definitely want to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity. I'm very grateful.
I'm grateful to you for taking the time, because this is important. And one of the things I did want to actually tap into really quickly as well, related to women in the space, Black women in the space. And I've been asking this question pretty consistently, because I've had some amazing women on the platform. Thinking about where we are with what's happening and what we see with, like, the trajectory in STEM related fields for young women, particularly for young Black women. We've seen, in terms of the data, metrics, what have you, that there's a drop off, right? That representation is not there when we start to look at higher education, college level, professional fields that are tied to STEM. There's a clear gap disparity. Can you speak to that as someone who has a background in the space as a nurse that is tied to STEM if people weren't aware, but then also now moving into what you're doing as far as tech, AI, blockchain, NurseBloc? Share your thoughts related to that, and also what you're doing in your work to basically combat a lot of that and show up and show that, hey, we are here, and what that looks like for young women.
I'll start out by saying that I don't think that, because maybe like 5 years ago there was this huge initiative for Black women in STEM, right? And then you saw Sexy Red. No disrespect. I get it, sexy. I listen to Sexy Red, but I do want to say that I believe that it was very calculated, like that shift away from the focus. Nevertheless, Black women are really doing their thing in STEM. And I feel like with Win with Black Women and so many different organizations that young women can be a part of, that if they're interested in STEM, we didn't have that. The young girls these days, they have so many more role models to look to that have actually done these things. Janine Suss, she's one of my stars, and she's also a phenomenal person in VC. But her sister is, I believe, a transplant surgeon. Dr. Suss, she's one of like the only Black women transplant surgeons. Like, Black women are doing their thing. I just don't think that it's highlighted enough. I think that it has been overshadowed by images, and I don't ever want to disparage anyone, like, but I do think like images of Sexy Red and different things have kind of weakened our image in STEM, and I think that that was done very intentionally. Me myself, what I try to do, I try to go and speak to youth, college students, nursing students about blockchain and about this very, very unique opportunity that they have to build the future. So that's what I do. I normally go to at least once or twice speak to young Black boys. I'm a mother of 3 Black boys. I feel like with all their talents, they can make NFTs, they can do so many things. And so I always try to go and talk to them. But as it pertains to Black women specifically, I believe we're crushing the game. We just got to highlight it more.
Agreed. And here we are.
Here we are.
Being in
Yes.
the media.
Yes. And congratulations to you. I was trying to log in and everything. This is big. This is dope. And this is what we need.
I
And you
appreciate
know what? I do want to say, if anybody's feeling down about recent events or whatever, lean into the people that are around you that are doing amazing things, because so many of us are. And I'm just honored to be here with you, Cedric, at your moment right now, because I see you. I see you.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
That's yeah, greatly appreciate it. Always wonderful to share space with someone who's making waves and making it happen. So thinking about a few other things though. So we've talked about, you know, your background, your pathway into the space, how you were introduced to some of the technologies, and of course NurseBloc. I'm interested to know, are there thoughts and considerations for, looking broader into the diaspora or even just globally for NurseBloc? What are you thinking in terms of like reach and potential for where this could end up being, and how large and vast it could grow? Do you see it in Africa? Like
I do.
where are we with it? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, that's such a great question. Thank you. Our ultimate goal, that's why the credentialing is so important, because credentialing varies from country to country and state to state. But if there's a way that you can verify a person, if you can say this person is qualified globally to provide this type of care, no matter where they are in the world. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with medical tourism, but a lot of people, we are even doing it now from here in the US. We're flying to Turkey and different countries to get routine medical checkups and visits and things that are cheaper there. When I get there, right? If I could have a verified nurse there that I can see all of her credentials, I can see, yes, this is the same as this in the US, this is the same in Africa, this is the same. Okay, she can do this, and she can meet me there and be my nurse while I'm there. So that is our ultimate goal. That's why the blockchain component is so important. We're not a blockchain company. But the blockchain component is very important because it allows that global transparency and immutability that would allow for nurses from all over the world to be verified, and to allow those verified nurses to be transparent on a ledger that everyone in the world could see. So that's like our ultimate goal.
Okay, yeah, and just even breaking down understanding wise what this looks like, right? If I'm somewhere else in the world and you show up and or you say, "Oh, I can provide you care," basically, I can, based on those smart contracts, I can trace back and look at,
Yep.
oh,
My
well, you do have
education.
this credential, all these,
Yep.
and it all is just laid out in front of me and say, okay, well, yes, you are certified and qualified to do this thing, and here's all the documentation, right? And we can move forward from that point, and that's essentially what we're talking about in terms of that more global reach for NurseBloc.
Yes, that's the end goal. Of course, there's a whole bunch of regulation and a whole bunch of things that need to take place before that would be possible, but that is the end goal. The end goal is no matter where you are in the world, if you need a nurse, you can find one that is qualified to provide the care that you need.
That's major for sure.
Hmm.
And you talked a little bit about the organization that you're going to be working with in terms of, like, acting as your CTO essentially, and any other pieces that you've been building out. But I want to go a little bit further. Maybe those are the answers to this question already, but I'm curious what's next for NurseBloc. What developments, and even looking into the future, like what are the plans that you kind of already have mapped out that you're beginning to see form in some way?
Well, the next is the launch of our MVP, which should occur it should be by the end of the year. We should be launching the MVP. And then we'll take on a beta group of nurses and a beta group of patients and basically do a case study based on their outcomes. So that's where we are now, basically building. If anyone is interested, if you are a healthcare professional of any sort, even if you're not a healthcare professional and you're interested in learning more, following along the progress, we really need beta testers. We're going to need all types of allied healthcare providers. We will need physicians as well as medical directors. So if you're a healthcare provider and you want to participate in our beta, please reach out to us on LinkedIn. The website is under construction. That's the whole story. That's a challenge too. As you know, a non-tech founder, I'm sure you've had your challenges, but and yeah, patients, we need beta testers as patients. And one thing that I do want to mention is that for the month of December, we're giving away 2 free hours of respite care. So it has to be in Atlanta or the surrounding area. But if you send us a message, info@nurseblock.io, about your caregiving experience, the challenges you've had, and what you really, really need, we're going to choose one of the ones that we receive, and we're going to provide 2 free hours of respite care if all of the qualifications are met. So please, please, please email us your caregiver challenges and let us help you this season.
Most definitely, and we'll have you repeat that as when we close out the interview for sure, just so
Oh,
everybody gets
okay.
attention.
Thank you.
And that way, in sharing this too, we'll make sure people get access, because that's major right there, right? Just even the opportunity and potential to just get support and care in correlation to supporting, right, and a platform that could essentially change the way that we do things as we know
Thank
it,
you,
right,
Cedric.
in healthcare space. I'm interested too. I got a few more that I want to ask before we close out and get some closing thoughts and ideas around what's happening on your end. But within that, I want to know, what's one thing that you wish more people understood about what it is that you're actually doing with NurseBloc?
I think that what I would like people to understand is that and I hate to say this because we need money, but I'm not trying to get rich. That's what I hope people can understand, is that I know this is a problem. My cousins, my friends, almost everybody that I know has had this problem in one way or another, and we want to solve the problem. We're not in this to get rich. Now I don't plan, let's be clear, to work any more 12-hour shifts. Let's be clear. But yeah, we're not doing this to get rich. We're not doing this to we're doing this because the technology now meets the need and we want to provide the solution. So that's what I really want people to know, is that, like, because I feel like people, you're trying to cut, no, this solution to a problem that everybody I know has. And I'm just grateful that God chose me to bring it to the world.
And next to last question, I think, actually segues from that point. and talks a little bit more about like those resources. And this is a fun one I like to ask folks as they're building things out. If you had unlimited resources, how would you expand your reach in terms of NurseBloc? Like right now, if you woke up tomorrow and money and access was no object, what would kind of be like your next steps or frame of thinking?
I believe every primary care practice, at least in America, but if I had unlimited resources, it would be all over the world. But yeah, every primary care practice would have access to NurseBloc and be able to offer it to their patients as a solution of extended care. Because people are really fighting with these insurance companies and Medicaid and Medicare, and who knows what that's going to look like. But in the midst of that, you still want to be able to go like run, run, take a shower, you know what I'm saying? Go to the mall. Like, I feel so bad when I meet people who are like my age. I'm 47. My age is the sandwich generation, caring for children and caring for parents. I'm grateful that my mom is still pretty independent, but think about that, what that is to a person, how heavy that is, like, yeah. So if we could offer this solution to everybody all over the world, if we could get the right marketing, like the proper marketing to be marketed, especially in rural areas or in countries where healthcare is very difficult to access. There may be providers there that aren't able to connect with everyone in the community. We can be that link for them, So yeah, that I would do that right away. It would be the marketing first though, because I think marketing is I think it's key in this day and age, getting those stories told and why we're doing what we're doing. That's what I would focus on right now.
And my last question before we close out and get, again, for reiteration, where we can reach you and support and things like that. What legacy do you hope that your current work, your background experience, also with NurseBloc, like what legacy do you hope that your body of work leaves behind?
So I come from a long line of nurses and caregivers. My grandma's on both sides, all my aunts, my mom, everybody was a nurse or a caregiver in some way, right? My mom was she made it to an executive level, but for the most part, everybody was working for somebody. Everybody had to clock in all their life. My legacy would be that I took all of that they showed me, that they paved the way for me, and I changed the world. That would be it. That like now my family, we're the employers, not the employees. It would be like, and it was so and so and so and so, and my God, here came Sharonda. That would be it. Yeah, that would be it.
I love that. I think we might have to title this episode "Here Came Sharonda." I think we got it. Wow.
Cedric, thank you for allowing me to
You,
be me. I appreciate it for sure. Thank you. And thank you for your thoughtfulness, the time that you had to put into preparing for this. The questions were phenomenal, and I'm so grateful. Right now, like I said, our website is under construction. It's nurseblock.io. Hopefully, it'll be complete soon, but it's not at the top of our list right now, but it is important, and we know that. But definitely go to our website. It'll take you to our LinkedIn. You can reach me there, Sharonda Davis, BSN, RN, soon to be MSN. I ain't, but and then I do want to mention my TikTok, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not getting those checks as fast as I need. I'm trying to build a TikTok shop under the name of NFT Nurse, so you can connect with me there. NurseBloc, we're also on TikTok as NurseBloc, Instagram, and X. So hopefully that is it. Info@nurseblock.io is the email. You can, if you're a caregiver, a nurse, or if you just saw this and have a question, please, I'm so approachable and just, I love to talk, and yeah, email us and help us and follow us along. So thank you, Cedric.
and there you have it, everybody. Another one.
Another one.
This was one of those ones. If everybody who comes across this does not take something from it, then we might have to send somebody from NurseBloc to check your pulse.
I love that, Cedric.
Make sure you're
And
still
you see the
there.
vision. You see the vision. I love it. Thank you.
Of course. And again, we just appreciate you so much. Love what you're doing. Look forward to continuing to support. For everybody tuning in to Narrative Road to 100 with Black AI Media, thank you. and make sure that you check out all of our previous interviews and episodes and all of the ones in the future, as well as tap into all the resources, information, merchandise, whatever you got.
Okay, I got to get a sweatshirt.
It's all there,
Yeah.
blackaimedia.com. But again, the purpose of this, of course, is really uplifting, honoring, appreciating, and showing respect for stories across the Black global community, contributions for what folks like Sharonda, you are doing. And we look forward to the next one. So with that, everybody have a wonderful rest of your day, and peace and love.
Thank you, Cedric. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.